Sukdeep 129 says, "Is it possible to understand all the words in a piece of text but still not understand its overall meaning?" And the answer is absolutely 100% yes, but for different reasons, right? I can give you a simple example for one reason, and then we'll get into some more complex reasons. A simple example for one reason might be something like, "You're killing me." Now, you understand what "your" means, you are, and then "killing," and then "me." You understand those words. The first is a contraction, then this action, and then what this action relates to. But if you don't know that that's an expression, an idiom, then you might say, well, one person is murdering another person. That's very bad, very serious. Things like that shouldn't happen. Murder is bad. I agree. Murder is bad, usually. But that's not what that means usually. When we say "you're killing me," usually it's in the context of laughter. Someone's saying, "You're killing me," as they, "you're killing me," it means you're very funny and you're making me laugh so hard that I express that I'm cracking up, I can't control myself. So there you go. 3 words you understand. Well, 1 word is a contraction, could be 4 words. "You are killing me." And it has a meaning that it doesn't seem to have. Most phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions, colloquialisms, common phrases that native English speakers say will have that. And if you don't know that, then yes, those words will not make sense to you and you won't get the meaning. So that's the simple one, I think. But then I think there's another level where an idea is being created, a concept is being created. And that's where comprehension requires you to understand what they're trying to say on a slightly deeper level, right? So at this moment, I'm reading a book by a German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. And it's a translation into English. And it's very interesting. The book is called "Thus Spoke Zarathustra." Now, I understand pretty much every word that is said in this book, but I find myself sometimes not fully getting what the author is trying to say, what Nietzsche is trying to say. So I'll go back and I'll read a paragraph again because I want to fully process the meaning. Now, why might it be hard to understand this? Well, here we're talking about very complicated ideas. We're talking about culture and how culture changes and how it should change, using all kinds of literary devices like metaphors. There's one metaphor about a fire dog, and this fire dog represents something that is not a fire dog, that is something completely different. So I understand fire dog, but can I understand what fire dog represents as a metaphor for something deeper, which is a criticism of an aspect of religious belief, for example? Oh, wow. Okay, so first I have to understand the words, and then I have to understand what the words mean, and then I have to understand what the words that mean this thing really mean, because it's a metaphor for something else, and then I have to understand how that metaphor then relates to what the topic is, the topic that is being discussed. Whoa, that's a lot to think about. So that's the next level of, I understand the words, but do I really understand what's going on, right? And that's true often in especially fiction, where you have a metaphor or metaphorical meaning. Maybe it's not even simple. Maybe the whole story is a metaphor for something else. Metaphor means this is what you see, but it represents or means something else, and you have to be able to identify that it means something else. And maybe it's using this simpler thing to make it more clear or make it more fun or perhaps disguise the meaning somehow. So that's a completely different layer. And that is what I would say is much harder. So as you read more, make sure you're thinking about what it might be actually trying to say. Okay? And I think a classic example would be to read, I think it's called The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. It's a poem that everybody reads in middle school. Every American student reads in middle school. And the whole premise is there's a guy standing at a branching point of a road. Two roads branch off. And he's considering, should I go this way or that way? Is this really about a road? No, it's not really about a road. It's about how to live. Should you follow the norms? Or should you go your own way and follow your heart and do what you think is right, even if that is not normal and most people don't do that? So there's an obvious meaning, a road. I understand the word road. Yes, but what does road really mean? I think that's interesting. That's great because it's art, it's beauty, it's opening ideas inside of your mind like origami. It's cool, but it is harder, especially if you're a non-native English speaker trying to understand this stuff. The best thing to do would be to start relatively easy, stuff that's not too hard, and then work your way up to more complicated stuff. And when it's the type of phrasal verbs or idioms that I mentioned before, the first type, there you can individually search them on something like thefreedictionary.com. That's a great website because you can find meanings and uses of idioms. Or if you want to learn a bunch of common expressions, I have 4 courses about this, covering over 240 common expressions, actually many more. All 4 courses together, something like 28 hours, all just about expressions. So if you want to learn those, check out the courses. That is in the links in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe and follow. Good question.